Alright guys, what's going on? Jimmy House here with my best friend Irving Dominguez. We're going to put together a little Q&A for you guys, the second one. I think this is going to be a two-part series. This will be the second video, and then we'll come out with the third video here shortly just because I got so many questions to get back to. So we're going to start with something simple real fast. What's the question, Irving?
Alright, so the first question is coming from Instagram from Mr. O. Josh Wright, and his question is, what belt do you use for powerlifting and what size?
So the belt I use for powerlifting is a Inzer lever belt. It's black, I believe it's 10 millimeters thick. And then you see it around a lot. It has a little lever, and I like it a lot just because it's a guaranteed same fit every single time. And with the lever belts and stuff like that, you get the same amount of support all around your core, which is essential for powerlifting. So I'm a big fan of that. And then I have it in a size medium. Yeah, I have a pretty small waist for my size, being like 245, and Irving has the same type of belt as well too. So thank you for your question.
Alright, moving on to the next question. It's coming from Instagram again. So this is coming from Irvin. Not Irving. Could have the same name. All you had to do was add the G to the end. We could have the same name, but no, you're still cool.
You're not G, man.
Yeah, you're not G. Not G like Irving. But moving on. He said, "Hey man, been following you for some time now. Just wanted to know what's your method to getting big arms. You got some size on yours, and I appreciate it if you could spread some knowledge."
Well, I appreciate that, Irvin. I like your name better than his anyway.
It happens.
So, actually, arms were, in my opinion, a weak point of mine when I was doing bodybuilding when I was younger. And back then, what I did was a push-pull leg split, doing back and biceps and stuff like that. So I would hit back first and then target my biceps afterwards. And to be honest with you, I started noticing the biggest improvement in my arms when I actually implemented a whole arm day. And in that arm day, after doing powerlifting, I actually started including powerlifting methods or powerlifting style reps and sets with my arms, like whether it be biceps or triceps. And I started noticing a lot of size increase, just as far as density and just size improvement in general. So what I basically mean by that is, say, most people usually stick to like cables and stuff like that to do arms in general. Cables have its time and place, but you definitely want to be taking advantage of free weight movements for arms, just like you would back and legs and stuff like that, because at the end of the day, your bicep is a muscle just like your quads and your back is. There's muscle fibers in there, slow and fast twitch, that you need to be hitting if you want to build a well-proportioned muscle belly. So what I did basically at the beginning of each arm day, I would, obviously hit bicep and tricep, and I would pick one compound movement for each that I would do maybe, 3 sets of 5 reps with 5 heavy reps. And I'm not necessarily worried about perfect form. If I'm doing bicep curls standing, I might throw a little bit of hip momentum in there, but it's really just meant to overload the muscle and get it used to carrying that load of weight, and that's kind of that's going to be what helps to get it to respond and grow. Having a heavier load on it, that's has something for it to actually make it grow, so it has to get stronger for the next week. Or I might even do 5 sets of like 2 or 3 sets of. I might even max out on bicep curls. No matter how stupid it looks in the gym, I know there's a purpose to it. So at the end of the day, it really just comes down to you not caring what other people think in the gym when you're doing certain things. But after I do my heavy sets with the tricep or biceps, then I'll move down to higher reps with clean form. So if I'm still doing standing curls, I'll be straight up, no momentum, all the way down, all the way up, sets of 8 to 10. And then towards the end of the workout, then I'll do my cable stuff to pump the extra blood in, to fill up those micro tears that I've developed from the heavier lifting at the beginning. So my best advice to you is to implement heavy training with your arms, like heavy compound movements, barbell, dumbbells, stuff like that. That's actually just going to force it to grow. One of my favorite tricep exercises for arms is going to be close grip bench or laying down pullovers. When you're laying down like this, and instead of pulling it over using your lats, you'll keep it straight up like this, and it's basically a skull crusher, seated, but or not a skull crusher, but seated. It's basically what you do seated right here. It's like you're laying down with the same motion. I find it just a little bit easier on your shoulders, and I feel like I can get a better stretch and isolate the triceps a little bit better. So you can try stuff like that. So yeah, that's basically my take on that. You got anything?
Yeah, what like Jimmy, my really lacking point was arms as well. One, they weren't really big, and two, like they just weren't that strong. But incorporating a lot of power movements into it as well, from like the bodybuilding foundation that we had when we started a few years ago, it's really helped with my strength. Incorporating, because I just said a lot of people just stick to like doing to the like cable machines, and that's still really good. That's really gonna help sculpt the muscle, but when you're wanting to have that size and strength, you got to really attack and hit those compound movements. So what really helped me build a lot of strength in like my triceps, which as a powerlifter now incorporates into a better bench, is we always like hitting like close grip bench. And as a bodybuilder in the past, didn't really focus on it, didn't really care for it. But as a powerlifter, it's made a lot of difference into my bench press now as a powerlifter. Hitting those heavy sets, maybe hitting 5 sets of 3, or 8 sets of 2 or something like that, whatever we have planned for that day. And it's really making that difference. And like I said, doesn't matter what people think. There's been days where I've curled 50s or 55s for only like 3 sets on each arm, but that's really just attacking that weight and making it a power movement as well, which is going to help with that size strength. So incorporating with that muscle sculpting, muscle tone kind of movements, adding on that power compound movements to it is really going to help with your size and your strength as well. So I really like having to incorporate both into now, which arm days has been a really favorite workout of mine outside of my main powerlifting movement days.
Right, yeah, don't be afraid to really target the arms. Like I said, they're muscle just like your chest and your back and your abs and everything like that. So they want to have a reason to grow, so you just got to give them that reason to grow. So if you're doing the same thing every week, odds are you got to change things up. If you're doing low reps for a long period of time, maybe you should change it up to higher, and vice versa. It just really depends on what you're doing. But one of my favorites, I'll just add on, working a lot of pause reps, actually building that stop and go power. Besides just the power that you'll develop in general, I found that it actually does help increase a lot of size in your arms. And how do you incorporate that for biceps, you ask? Just one of my favorites is actually sitting on the preacher curl, having the weight go down, holding it just before you lock your arm out so there's still tension on your bicep, pausing it for maybe 1 or 2 seconds, and then regenerating all that energy and all that momentum to bring it back up again, and focusing on the squeeze at the top. So with the biceps and tricep being smaller muscles, then your back and your legs is easier to focus on the contraction towards the top of the movement. So definitely focus on that with each and every rep, whether you're doing heavy reps or light reps, just to complement the total movement of whatever you choose to do for that. Alrighty, next question.
Alright, so this one is coming from Jimmy's Snapchat, and this was from one of his videos of him squatting with the safety squat bar. And the question is, did you have this made? Was the first part of the question. And then the second part of the question is, why do you deadlift with no shoes on?
I'll put the picture in there so you guys can see what he's talking about. But the safety squat bar over at Die Hard Gym, it's a bar found at many different powerlifting gyms. It's really good for it kind of mimics a high bar position in that the weight's placed on top of you, but instead of having to hold the bar right here, the handles are out in front of you. And I like it a lot as far as relieving stress off my shoulders from my low bar squatting. I like it in a sense that it places the weight in a different part of my body, so that my body has to get stronger in areas it's not used to engaging my muscles in. I think core strength plays a huge role, and it definitely increases core strength a lot. So I'll definitely do a couple weeks of my training cycles where I'll do the safety squat bar and I'll throw bands on, and then I find that being able to do that for a few weeks and then come back to my low bar position without the bands, without the safety squat bar, come back a whole lot stronger. But no, to answer your question, trailing off there, I didn't have it made. That's something that you can find at most powerlifting gyms or gyms that are just geared towards weightlifting in general. And then why do I deadlift with no shoes on? That's like sometimes I either deadlift with no shoes on or I deadlift with shoes that have flat-soled feet. A lot of times you'll see like me deadlift with wrestling shoes, or like I just got new Reebok CrossFit Sorry, low battery. I just got new Reebok CrossFit shoes for the Olympia that are flat soled as well. You'll see Irving in either wrestling shoes or Converse. He's a big fan of Converse. So just anything with a flat sole, just because you want your feet planted directly into the ground when you're deadlifting. You don't want any elevated heels or any wiggle room that'll make the lift harder or throw your body off of its different leverages that you'll be stronger in. So you just want as flat a surface as you possibly can when you're deadlifting, whether it's sumo or conventional, just to complement your body's strengths the most in order to lift the most weight possible. Alrighty, next question.
Alright, so the next question is coming from Facebook. This is from Eric Nieves. And his
What up, Eric?
Yeah, what up, Eric? One of our friends from powerlifting. And his question is on cardio. He's saying, for fat loss, what's more beneficial or what's the best? Cardio on an empty stomach in the morning, or does it matter when you do it, but as long as you did it that day? So
this question actually, Irving can answer just as good as I can, just because he, just a year ago, he finished his first teen bodybuilding show, coming from a pre-diabetic 240 pounds, might I add, coming all the way down to 150 pounds at his teen bodybuilding show, the NPC Arizona Open, ran by Miles Productions here in Arizona. So he knows all about that fasted cardio stuff just as much as I do, so I'll let him kind of give his take.
So yeah, like you said, I did a bodybuilding show last summer, so it's been a little bit over a year. And Jimmy was also my coach through that process as well. And he had me do different variations of cardio. You know, we both had a wrestling background, so a lot of our cardio, like starting out, was a lot of, you know, high intensity and interval training. But in bodybuilding, it's a little bit different, or doing, you know, cardio for, you know, athletic sports. You want to, you know, switch things up. So when I was in my bodybuilding prep, I started out with low intensity cardio at the end of my workouts, you know, for 35, 45 minutes of low intensity, like doing like, you know, it's low intensity Stairmaster, or doing like, incline treadmill. Yeah, it's lost the train of thought. But then as we got closer to the show, Jimmy started having me incorporate fasted cardio. So you're predominantly a male, you know, your testosterone, your metabolism is going to be at its highest first thing in the morning. So the purpose of having fasted cardio is to, you know, spike that metabolism up as high as you can first thing in the morning, especially when you're, you know, when you're nailing down those last few weeks of the prep, when your energy levels and your metabolism, you know, is going to be running, but, you know, since you're not getting as much fuel as you want to, you want to make sure you're keeping that metabolism as high as possible. So, you know, it's effective, yeah. You could do it in any forms of way, you know, depending on what you're trying to go for. If you're, you know, trying to lose, you know, a lot of fat quick, like kind of like a bodybuilding prep like I had to do, or you can still get the same benefits of cardio doing in different forms, like I did low intensity, or Jimmy and I doing like high intensity interval training like we did back in wrestling. So, you know, they're all really beneficial. It just depends on what you're trying to go for.
Yeah, I'll just add on, you know, with fasted cardio and stuff like that, it's important. It definitely helps a lot if you're trying to drop fat, just because in the morning your body's going to be the most primed to target fat cells when you're doing the cardio for energy, as opposed to muscle. Or since obviously you're doing it fasted, your body doesn't have any energy sources from food to use as energy, so your body is more primed to use your fat as energy to help get it through the cardio, which then will in essence equate to faster fat loss. Same reason you would do your weight training first and then do, you know, 20 to 30 minutes of cardio at the end, just because your glycogen storage has been used up during your training. So your body doesn't have, you know, that glycogen or insulin to use as energy when you're doing the cardio at the end. So therefore, with doing low state cardio, it'll be more likely to target the fat in your body as energy, and it just helps, kind of speeds up the whole fat loss and weight loss process.
All right, moving on to the next question. So
this is like our fourth try.
It really is, but, you know, can't win them all. So moving on. So we had two people ask, you know, really similar questions, so we're going to address them both. So this is coming from Dylan Cobb and CamMac56, both from Instagram. So we're going to read Dylan's question. So Dylan said, "Hey man, I just had a quick question if you had some free time. I've been following you for a while and you made some major strides. I was just wondering what works best for you as far as gaining weight. Highest I've hit in body weight is 165, but right now I'm around 157 to 158. Also, I've had some liver problems, so I can't touch supplements. But yeah, if you had the time, I would definitely appreciate it. Thank you, Dylan.
Alrighty, Dylan. So, if you can't touch supplements, that's not really a big deal. Supplements, they can help, but they're not miracles. They're really more for just supplementing a good diet and a good rest and training regimen to help just kind of put the icing on the cake. But if you don't have that, it's really not a huge loss. Like I said, my best advice to you is to start tracking, especially if you're new to this. Track, say, where your calories are as of right now. And once you get, a basic average of where you're typically getting your number of calories, say you're getting maybe 2,500 calories on average or whatever it is, track that and then determine how much you need to go up by and start playing around with it. Everyone's going to be different, so you're not going to have or find the perfect diet regimen or caloric intake for your body. That's more something for you to venture out and find over time through trial and error. But my best advice to do that is to start with your basic calories that you're getting right now that you seem to be maintaining your weight at, and then increase that. Maybe start playing with anywhere from 200 to 300 calories, and do that for a couple weeks. If you still don't see an increase, and up it again until you start seeing the pounds come on. Now keep in mind, I have to assume that you're a natural athlete, so that's going to be a process. It's going to take time, so don't rush it. Like I said in my last Q&A video, your best bet is to start to track your mini goals before you look at your big goal. So don't look at the big picture. Look at each and every ounce before you look at the pounds. You know what I'm saying? You should. So yeah, with that being said, man, try to keep it clean with your calories. Try to get whole calories, from good protein sources like chicken and steak, broccoli, rice, sweet potatoes, just basic foods that are going to give you good calories, that are going to be able to fuel your body, provide the nutrients and vitamins that it needs to just function throughout the day, and try to hit that calorie number. You don't need to get too strict with it. You don't need to hit it exactly. If you're a little over, a little under, it's not a huge deal, but just kind of see how your body reacts to things, and then track it so that you can adjust and be ready to change that however you think you should. I always think that it's better for you to go out and try to change your own diet instead of having somebody do it for you, because then you put your fate into somebody else's hands. I'd rather fail on my own than to fail under somebody else's responsibility, and that's the best way to learn in this in the fitness industry. It's to really venture out and do your own research, do your own tracking of your own progress and results, and just kind of implement your own program and your own diet regimen that way. And then soon enough, 2, 3, 4, 5 years into it, you have everything down to a T, and then you're the one giving advice to others. So just give that a shot.
All right, next question. It's coming from Snapchat, and it's coming from SurgeBoxing928.
Me and him wrestled my freshman and my junior year, so
He's a good wrestling friend of mine. We wrestled at regionals and state together, so he's a good friend of mine from Cibola High School in Yuma, Arizona.
Shout out to Yuma. All right, so what he said is, hey bro, I'm trying to lose fat on my lower chest area, but I don't want to bulk up because I box. Do you know what I can do to get them lean?
So with fat loss, unfortunately with fat loss, there's no specific way to target a specific area of your body. Fat loss is a whole process, so it's going to be fat being reduced from all areas of your body, not just one. So to get leaner in general, first thing to do is assess your diet. If you have a diet that maybe you eat a little bit too much junk food or a little bit too much processed sugar, processed carbs and stuff like that, you want to kind of assess that and see what you can take out of your diet. If you're a soda drinker, you might want to slowly take that out or switch the diet for a little bit before you take it out completely. Just stuff like that where you can first assess where, hey, maybe I should take this out. I know this stuff is probably not what I should be eating or drinking if I'm dieting, so take that out first. After that, then you want to try to at least clean up your foods a little bit as much as you can, and assess. This kind of goes into what I was talking about earlier with gaining weight. It's basically the same thing except the opposite. So you want to take your the basis of calories that you're taking to maintain the weight you are now, and slowly decrease that. And like I said earlier, that's something you got to play with. There's no scientific formula or scientific method that's going to really give you the exact. There's no exact scientific equation, although some people would argue otherwise. That's going to give you an exact, perfect, spot-on number for your body. That's something you're going to have to find out over time, like I said earlier. So the foods they gotta be clean, man. That's the way you're gonna get the best results. You're gonna feel the best, just overall energy-wise and how your body feels. You can't say 100 calories of chips is the same as 100 calories of broccoli. It just doesn't work that way. You're gonna get more nutrients, more vitamins that can help fuel your body with something like broccoli as opposed to chips, which essentially has very little nutritional value to them, and you're just kind of having filler calories that's not going to really go to much use besides being stored as fat, which will reverse the process. I'm not a big believer in flexible dieting, just for the fact that, especially for people that are trying to lose weight, especially because if you're trying to lose weight, I have to believe that you have somewhat of excess of fat, which means that your body probably responds to foods that are high in processed sugar and high in fast-acting carbohydrates in a negative way, which is probably how you put on some excess weight over the years. So trying to implement those same foods in your diet to a specific range doesn't really make a whole lot of sense. So for you to make a change, for someone that has excess weight trying to make a change, you're going to have to change your diet completely, and that's just kind of how life works. You're going to have to make a change if you want to make a change for yourself and be successful towards this road or another. You can ask him. He's a prime example. When I started helping him out with his diet, there was no flexible dieting. There was no chips or cake or anything here and there. Yeah, there were cheat meals once earned. That's a whole different matter. However, there was no, hey, I can have a little bit of this here because it's not that bad. It fits within my calorie range. I'm a big believer in putting in the work, and I believe putting in the work just has to do with you working your hardest in every aspect of it, in the gym and outside of the gym, especially with your diet. So eating the same foods that you ate when you weren't dieting doesn't really make a whole lot of sense to me. I believe that you should really try to implement the foods that you should be eating in a specific portion over time. Don't go cold. I'm not saying go cold turkey right away. However, I am saying that if you want to change, you got to make a change. Sometimes you got to just kind of do it, and set my best advice for that is to go maybe 2 to 3 weeks straight dieting, and then reward yourself with a cheat meal or a cheat day in that matter, depending upon how your weight loss is going. So that way you can stay mentally sane. You can kind of curve off cravings, but you can still stay clean with your diet, and you'll ultimately you want to talk you'll ultimately see faster results that way. But that's just my opinion, and his opinion, and mostly everyone's opinion, probably.
Alrighty, we're moving on to another question. This one's from Twitter, and this one's coming from Tyler Grebe. He says, first things first, I just want to say you're insane, man. You do some crazy stuff. I'm trying to get my flat bench up, and I've just been doing 5 sets of 5, and I was able to add like 2.5 to 5 pounds a week. Then it slowed down a little. Do you have any tips or know any lifts I should be doing to help increase my bench press? Would appreciate it. Thanks a lot.
So for bench press, I definitely feel you there, man, and I appreciate the compliments at the beginning. Definitely, thank you so much, and appreciate your support geared towards what I'm trying to do. But as regards to your question, I definitely feel you there, and so does Irving, because bench press is our weakest lift out of the two.
Definitely.
And trying to find ways to manipulate it in a sense to where we can actually improve our weakest lift can sometimes be difficult, and you feel like you're running out of options. But I've been doing this long enough to where I've found a few different exercises that I personally like the most, that has helped increase my bench press. Before looking at exercises to increase your bench press, however, I would suggest assessing your form, because a lot of times you might find that you adjusting your form a little bit can just increase the weight in general. If you say, like, if I was a new lifter and I was trying a wide grip for bench because I saw a lot of other people do it, and I was stuck at a certain weight. Say the next week I brought my grip in closer, I would find that my bench press would go up, 20 to 30 pounds, just because me personally, I'm a lot stronger with a closer grip than I am with a wider grip. And you might find the same thing too, and vice versa. So playing with your technique first is going to be essential, just to see where you're strongest at, and then you want to get stronger from there. You don't want to get stronger from where you're weakest at, getting to a subpar level when you could be a lot stronger, and then get stronger off of that specific form. After that, I would suggest some of my favorite accessory movements for bench press are going to be close grip bench, working on your tricep power. I'm a big fan of dumbbell work, so you can manipulate dumbbells as far as doing flat bench dumbbells, shoulder press dumbbells, incline, decline, the whole 9 yards, man. And I found the most improvement by focusing on dumbbell strength first, and then coming back to the bench to test my strength later when it came to bodybuilding and stuff like that. And he was the same way, I believe. You want to tell him about your progress with the bench?
Yeah, definitely. So my bench, like Jimmy said, is my weakest lift out of all my 3 lifts as a power lifter. And I got to a point where I was really frustrated because I was only, benching in like the lowish to mid 200s, where that's, personally I wasn't really happy with where I was at. So I just, week in and week out, coming every week, just trying to focus on the barbell. Jimmy and I, we went back and we kind of went to, kind of our roots, to where we just did a lot of, dumbbells, like, a lot of, heavy, low rep, heavy dumbbells, between 3 to 5 reps. And we would do that for like 5 to 6 weeks straight. And then we'd come back to the barbell and test, to see where we're at. And that really helped me out. And now my bench is in, somewhere in the high 200s. Going into my meet on Saturday, my goal is to hit 300, and it's really improved from there. And like you said, accessories as well. Close grip bench really helped with my lockout. So I just, I never have to worry about going through that sticking point of the lockout. I've liked doing floor presses as well. That really helps out with, the lockout as well. Always been a big dumbbell presser. Like when I got into bodybuilding, I barely touched the barbell. Jimmy always had us. We always used to train a lot of, dumbbell work, a lot of accessory work. And then what I really liked, whether it's, in squats and in bench, and I really felt like it helped a lot with my bench, is doing a lot of pause reps. So maybe taking it down to maybe 70-75% of what your max is, and then working sets of pause reps, just because now you're not having, you're not bouncing it off your chest. If you do, if you don't, that's great. And if you are incorporating pause reps, I would, say that's something I like to do, and it's what's really helped me is incorporating a lot of pause reps, because now you're really focusing, like Jimmy said, on that technique, on that form, and having that, that shift of, shifting your hips as a power lifter, and then, going off with no momentum from bouncing off, your chest. So doing a lot of pause reps with a lower weight, and then slowly incrementing it at a higher weight is really going to help out with, building that strength as well. But, really, when it comes down to it, accessories is going to be a huge factor with, increasing your bench press, not just, coming in every week and trying to increase, your barbell bench by 2.5 to 5 pounds. That it's all going to come in time. I would just say stick to, really focus on accessories, and focus on, what, in our opinion, what helped us out a lot was a lot of dumbbells. So, try to manipulate that, but then, form is the key. You want to make sure you're having really good form as well, because like I said, you want to have a good form, a good technique to your bench press, so you can keep on improving, not like a subpar, technique. So that's kind of my take on that.
With the dumbbells, they're going to help work on stabilizer muscles. Dumbbells are great because you can manipulate the range of motion. You can manipulate whether you're doing it with your palms facing outward, your palms facing inward. There's a lot of manipulation that you can do with dumbbells that will transfer over well into your barbell bench. Also, I wanted to add on, with a big bench is going to come a big back. So with that, you want to definitely target movements that are going to help strengthen your upper back, especially your lats. So a lot of heavy rows in that sense that are gonna, basically your back is going to help stabilize the weight when you're benching. You would think that it's going to be all your shoulders and your chest and your triceps, when in reality it's your back that's really controlling a lot of the movement, just as far as, you know, stabilizing the weight, and especially if you know how to do it right, that your back will actually help you with your initial start off your chest. So along with those exercises that we suggested, making sure that your back is strong and your back is you know, up to par, doing movements to increase your upper back strength is going to be important as well. Alright guys, so that's going to wrap it up for part 1 of this Q&A. I know this was long, but actually no. Fortunately, I had a lot of questions to answer, so we try to get them all in there. I'm not going to try to neglect one over the other. I'm going to try to give, you know, my full take on each and every question, so, you know, you guys get the information that you're looking for. So thank you guys again for watching. Keep commenting questions below, sending me questions over different messaging platforms, and I'll get back to those in future videos. And then stay tuned for part 2.